Welcome. Today we have Brent Young with Land O'Lakes to tell us about his career. Welcome, Brent.
Hello.
Can you tell us what your job is and what Land O'Lakes does?
My job, I'm a livestock production specialist. Basically what I do is advise farmers with cattle, dairy cattle, beef cattle, sheep, goats, on how to feed their animals, management decisions on how to better their operation, how to, in a sense, how to make money with the livestock that they have, and providing a service to them of telling them what they should be feeding or how they should be feeding it. Land O'Lakes is a large company. They're involved with animal nutrition, which is the company that's a subsidiary of Land O'Lakes is called Purina Animal Nutrition, who I'm actually an employee of. They handle the animal nutrition side of it. Then they have a milk division where they buy milk from dairy farmers. They have a dairy foods division like butter, cottage cheese that they sell. They also have an agronomy division, Winfield, that sells agronomy products like fertilizer and chemicals and things like that for the crop side of an operation. So they're a large company, a whole lot of different scopes that they're involved in, and I'm in the animal nutrition part of it. So.
And how long have you been doing this job?
26 years.
Wow, that's quite a career you've had.
Yeah, it goes by fast. It goes by really fast.
So what is it that keeps you there? Why do you stay? What do you enjoy?
The farmers that I work with are the reason I stay. It's a demanding job because there's not a lot of the commodity prices in terms of beef and dairy are so volatile and up and down, and it's to watch farms that are losing money. It's hard, but you try to help them so that they can make money and survive. But it's the farms that I work with that are good people that just, they make you want to go to work because they see you as, you may be quote unquote the feed salesman, but they also value you as a team member and that you're part of their farm. So there's farms that I've been there so long that, the grandsons I remember the kids when they were 2-3 years old, and now they're integral parts of the farms, and it's kind of neat to see.
Yeah. What got you started in this path? If you've been there 26 years, you were right out of high school?
No, it's kind of a funny story. I actually, when I started college, or when I was in high school, I wanted to be a CPA. I like numbers. And I was always very good with math. I was always good with accounting and all that kind of stuff. But when I was in high school, I was in 4-H and FFA. And even though I didn't live on a farm, I always showed livestock and was on judging teams, animal judging teams. And when I went to college, my first half year, I took a lot of the business and accounting classes. But as I started going more and more to school, I kept taking more and more livestock classes. And it just kind of led me into this path. So.
And have you always been
your dream or your goal when you're 17, 18 changes really fast once you kind of find something that you like and get moved into. And you still work a lot. I still work a lot of numbers because I'm trying to tell people, okay, yeah, you'll make money on if you buy a set of cattle. Okay, this is gonna, these numbers are gonna work. They're not gonna work. This is how we're gonna have to try to make them work. So I still do a lot of numbers, but it's not the actual accounting numbers like I was wanted to do at first.
So can you take us through your career? When you started at Land O'Lakes or Purina, did you actually start in the role you're in, or have you shifted through the company over the years?
My job has always stayed the same. I got a 4-year degree, and of course that changed from accounting. I went into the livestock end, but it took me a long way to figure out to where I wanted to be. And when I first got hired by Land O'Lakes, I was hired because when I was in college, I worked for a dairy farm, and I knew, and I was in 4-H and FA, I knew things about dairy cattle and beef cattle. And I actually went to school to learn about pigs. So that's how I got hired, is because they were looking for somebody that knew something about a ruminant, a 4-compartment animal. I knew that. So that's how I got hired. And so now I've stayed in the same role this whole time. So like I said, things change a lot when you go to college, and I got a degree in swine nutrition. I don't do any swine work. So I just work with ruminants. So
would you say for others in your position that a 4-year degree is necessary, or what kind of education for that role that you're doing is required?
It's a minimum of 4-year degree. And there's some colleagues I work with that I know they don't have a livestock degree, but they're either from a farm or they have an ag business degree or an ag economics degree, and it kind of all flows in together. But I work with a couple guys that are my tech people that all either have masters or PhDs. So I get, if I'm stumped and have a question and need some help, I can call one of our field PhDs or one of our tech people that also have a master's in that field, and can lean on them for information too. So, but it's a minimum of a 4-year degree.
Wow. Would you be able to give us a ballpark for a starting wage for someone right out of high school, right out of college, starting in the company?
Granted, that was a long time ago when I started, but I'm guessing right now it's probably about 40,000 is probably a starting role. No one ever really tells you what they make.
Sure.
I know some of the PhD people make quite a bit more, but they've got a lot more invested in getting to where they're at too. So, and as time goes, inflation and time you've been there, and if you're doing the job you're supposed to, you can make more than 40,000. So
Land O'Lakes believes in advancement?
Yes, they believe in a lot of training their employees. When I started, I mean, you went to a lot of different training seminars and things, and now they still do a lot of that, and they do a lot more of it online and things like that. And it's harder for me, being not a computer or somebody that likes technology. I have a hard time getting involved in them. I still get in on them, but not as much as I probably should be. Where some of the newer people that are in the job 2-3 years, they love that kind of thing. And I'd rather be out on a farm and doing that kind of thing than sitting in a meeting. So.
Yeah, and you touched on this a little bit in regards to skills one would need. What technical skills would someone need to be in your role?
You need to know livestock. You need to know what they eat, even beforehand. You need to know, a ruminant can handle forage and silages and things, and like a pig that's only got one stomach can't handle silage. You need to know things like that. And just the basics of, how an animal works and how they grow and how they're supposed to grow. So 4-H and FFA really, from when I was in those organizations to what they've done today, the amount of education that they do for teaching kids is off the charts. And we learned a lot, but it's been a lot more, it's intensified, just talking to kids that are in high school that, they're farm kids, but the stuff that they talk about in their classes is like, man, I did that when I was in college, and they're doing it in high school. So it's good to see that those programs are still thriving.
Yeah.
Because there's less and less farm kids. So.
Yeah, and you're right. Those teachers are doing a good job to educate and to show the value of the farm work and the jobs in that field.
Yes, because there's a lot of them. Not only in the animal side, but the agronomy, everything. There's just a lot of different things that you can get involved in. So.
With your job, you mentioned the interpersonal skills of working with the farmers and the people that you see day to day, but what other soft skills, maybe problem solving or team building, would be required for your position?
You need to have good ears. You got to be a good listener, because they will tell you if you're talking more than they are. That's not a good situation. You need to hear what they're telling you and then expand on what they're telling you. So you need to have good listening ears, but you also have to comprehend what they're saying and kind of feed off of it to find out what, they might be telling you in a nonverbal way that, okay, we're having problems in this area. You got to kind of have good interpersonal skills to kind of pick up on what they're telling you. And experience does help. And the more and more you work with each farm, the more and more that you can pick up on their tendencies. So you kind of got to pay attention and stay on your toes. And doing it, any time you can do a speech class or a listening, something where you have to not really listen or memorize what they're saying, but just hit the key points. It does help you in my kind of job. So.
Yeah, I bet that helps to build trust and to keep those relationships then. Yep.
And the more experience you have, they just don't see it as you're trying to sell them something. You're actually trying to help them. And that's a big obstacle at first when you're new. Oh, they're like, oh, you're just a new person. You're just trying to sell us this. Till you gain that trust and they feel comfortable talking to you. And when they feel that you're part of their team, it opens a lot more doors.
Gotcha. Well, if a student wants to follow up and ask further questions, you've given a lot of good details today. What would be your preferred method of them reaching out to you?
Actually, a text message.
Okay.
Would be the easiest. And I can be reached at 507-279-9893.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your time today, Brent.
You bet. Thank you.